Locating and repairing defects is an essential phase in application development. Defects can be detected and submitted by users in all stages of the application lifecycle management process. Using Quality Center, you can submit defects detected in the application and track them until they have been repaired and retested. In this lesson, you will learn about how to track defects, adding new defects, matching defects, updating defects, linking defects to tests, creating favorite views. When you submit a defect to a Quality Center project, it is tracked through these stages: new, open, fixed, and closed. A defect may also be rejected, or it may be reopened after it is fixed. When you initially report the defect to a Quality Center project, it is assigned the status new by default. A quality assurance or project manager reviews the defect and determines whether or not to consider the defect for repair. If the defect is refused, it is assigned the status rejected. If the defect is accepted, the quality assurance or project manager determines a repair priority, changes its status to open, and assigns it to a member of the development team. A developer repairs the defect and assigns it the status fixed. You retest the application, making sure that the defect does not recur. If the defect recurs, the quality assurance or project manager assigns it the status reopened. If the defect is repaired, the quality assurance or project manager assigns it the status closed, adding new defects. You can add a new defect to a Quality Center project at any stage of the application lifecycle management process. In this exercise, you will submit the defect that was detected while running the cruise booking test. To add a new defect: 1. Open the QualiCenter demo project. If the QualiCenter demo project is not already open, log into the project. 2. Display the defects module. Click the defects button on the sidebar. The defects grid displays defect data in a grid. Each row in the grid displays a separate defect record. 3. Open the New Defect dialog box. Click the New Defect button. The New Defect dialog box opens. 4. Describe the defect. Perform the following. Summary: unable to reserve a cruise from the cruise page. Category: defect severity 2 medium. Subject: cruise's description. The defect was detected in the cruise booking test. When you click the Now Accepting Reservations button, the Flight Finder page opens instead of the cruise reservation page. 5. Determine the cycle in which the defect was detected. In the Detected in Cycle box, click the Browse button. The Releases tree opens. Expand the tree. In the Service Packs Releases folder, in the Service Pack 1 release, select the Cycle 1 New Features cycle. You can see that Quality Center automatically assigns the value Service Pack 1 to the Detected in Release field. This is because Cycle 1 New Features is part of the Service Pack 1 release. Click OK to close the Releases tree. 6. Attach the URL address for the Mercury Tours page where the defect was detected. Click the Attach URL button. The Attach Uniform Resource Locator (URL) dialog box opens. Type the URL address of the Mercury Tours page, http qualitycenterservername/mtowers. Click OK. The URL name is displayed above the description box. 7. Add the defect to the Quality Center project. Click the Submit button. The defect is added to the defects grid. 8. Close the New Defect dialog box. Click Close. Matching defects. Matching defects enables you to eliminate duplicate or similar defects in your project. Each time you add a new defect, Quality Center stores lists of keywords from the summary and description fields. When you search for similar defects, keywords in these fields are matched against other defects. Note that keywords must be more than 2 characters and lettercase does not affect your results. In this exercise, you will match defects by comparing a selected defect with all other existing defects in the QualiCenter demo project. To match defects: 1. Make sure that the defects module is displayed. If the defects module is not displayed, click the Defects button on the sidebar. 2. Select defect ID 37. If a filter is applied to the grid, click the Set Filters/Sort arrow and choose Clear Filters/Sort to clear the filter. In the Defects grid, select defect ID 37. 3. Find similar defects. Click the Find Similar Defects button. Updating defects. Tracking the repair of defects in a project requires that you periodically update defects. You can do so directly in the Defects grid or in the Defect Details dialog box. The ability to update some defect fields depends on your permission settings. After you have updated defects, you can view the current quality status of your release in the Release module. In this exercise, you will update your defect information by changing the severity of a defect, assigning the defect to a cycle, and adding a comment. You will then see how updating defects is reflected in the Quality tab of the Releases module. To update defects: 1. Make sure that the Defects module is displayed. If the Defects module is not displayed, click the Defects button on the sidebar. 2. Open the Defect Details dialog box. In the Defects grid, select the defect you added in Adding New Defects. Click the Defect Details button. The Defect Details dialog box opens. 3. Change the severity level of the defect. In the Severity box, select 5 Urgent. 4. Determine the cycle in which the defect will be fixed. Quality Center Starter Edition. If you are using Quality Center Starter Edition, proceed to Step 5. In the Target Cycle box, click the Browse button. The Releases tree opens. Expand the tree. In the Service Packs Releases folder, in the Service Pack 1 release, select the Cycle 2, Full Cycle. You can see that Quality Center automatically assigns the value Service Pack 1 to the target release field. This is because the Cycle 2, Full Cycle is part of the Service Pack 1 release. Click OK to close the Releases tree. 5. Add a new comment to explain the change in the severity level. Click the Add Comment button. A new section is added to the Comments box, displaying your username and the current date. Type: this defect should be fixed in the next service pack. 6. View the attachments. Click Attachments on the sidebar. Note that the URL attachment is listed. 7. View linked entities. Click Linked Entities on the sidebar to view entities that have been linked to the defect. Linked entities can include requirements, tests, test sets, test instances, runs, run steps, and other defects. There are currently no linked entities. 8. View the history. Click History on the sidebar to view the history of changes made to the defect. For each change, the grid displays the date and time of the change, and the name of the user who made the change. You can expand a change to view a list of fields modified during the change. For each field, the grid displays the old value and the new value. 9. Close the Defect Details dialog box. Click OK to exit the dialog box. 10. Update defects directly in the Defects grid. In the Defects grid, select Defect ID 23. Click the Detected in Cycle box and click the drop-down arrow. In the Releases tree, expand the Release folder Service Packs and the Release Service Pack 1. Select the Cycle 1, New Features cycle, and click OK. Click the Target Cycle box and click the Browse button. In the Releases tree, expand the Release folder Service Packs and the Release Service Pack 1. Select the Cycle 1, New Features cycle, and click OK. 11. Update defects 35 and 36. Repeat Step 10 for defects 35 and 36. 12. View the number of defects opened in Cycle 1, New Features on THEQUALITY tab. Click the Management button on the sidebar. In the Releases tab, expand the Release folder Service Packs and the Release Service Pack 1 and select the Cycle 1, New Features. Click the Quality tab. In the Defect Opening Rate graph, you can see the defects detected in Cycle 1, New Features according to defect severity. In the Outstanding Defects graph, you can see the outstanding defects in Cycle 1, New Features according to defect status, linking defects to tests. You can link a test in your test plan to a specific defect in the Defects grid. This is useful, for example, when a new test is created specifically for an known defect. By creating linkage, you can determine if the test should be run based on the status of the defect. Note that you can also link the defect to other entities, such as requirements. A defect can be linked directly or indirectly to an entity. When you add a defect link to an entity, Quality Center adds a direct link to this entity and indirect links to other related entities. The following diagram illustrates the flow of indirect linkage. For instance, when you link a defect to a run step, it adds an indirect link to its run, test instance, test set, and test. If the same test is covered by a requirement, an indirect link is also added to the requirement. Note that the indirect linkage is a one-directional flow. For example, if you link a defect to a run, it is not indirectly linked to its run steps. In this exercise, you will link your defect to the cruise booking test in the test plan module, and view the linked test in the defects grid. 2. Link a defect to a test. 1. Display the test plan module. Click the test plan button on the sidebar. 2. Select the cruise booking test. In the test plan tree, under Cruises, expand Cruise Reservation, and select the cruise booking test. Click the Link Defects tab. 3. Add a link defect. In the Link Defects tab, click the Link Existing Defect arrow, and choose Select. The Defects to Link dialog box opens. Select the defect you added in Adding New Defects, and click the Link button. Your defect is added to the Link Defects grid. Note, if you cannot find your defect in the Defects to Link dialog box, click the Set Filters/Sort arrow, and choose Clear Filters/Sort to clear the filter that is applied to the grid.